Fortnite just completely broke tournaments, and why does this have me worried for a lot of tournaments going forward? I also want to talk about the new Fortnitemares update and how it's affecting competitive. You've probably seen some of the crazy clips of the chainsaw item, and I want to go over whether I think this update was good or bad. I also have some potentially good and bad news about the OG season we're about to go into, including the fact we might be getting a very long downtime. There's a lot to talk about. Let's jump into it. Have you ever been watching a pro player and thought, I would do anything to be able to play like them? You copy their settings, you try to mimic their playstyle, you of course put on their main skin, but what about the gear they use? What mouse do they use? What keyboard? What monitor? Obviously they're the best players, so their gear has to be good. You head to their Twitch channel, you try ! mouse, ! keyboard, ! everything. You find out all of the gear they use, but now you have to get your hands on it. A lot of pros will use a special edition keyboard or a mouse that isn't even being made anymore. You look on every website and you just can't find anyone who sells it. That's where Shippin comes in. Shippin connects you with local shoppers around the world who can buy and ship products to you quickly and affordably. Here's how it works, and it's so easy. You just make an order on Shippin, a local buyer then buys it and ships it straight to your address. They'll even ship products that maybe you couldn't get in your country on other websites. So if you want to get your new gear as fast as possible so you can play like the pros, use Shippin and use my code Antics20 at checkout to get 20% off your order. Good luck, and thanks to Shippin, your next upgrade is just a click away. So what happened to the cash cups today, and what does this mean for tournaments going forward? So in case you guys missed it, the trio cash cups, the squad reload cup, the duo reload cup, and the ranked cups, yes, there was 9 tournaments on every single region today. There was 54 tournaments running in Fortnite. They ran on the first few regions. Asia and OC were totally fine. Then we came into EU trio cash cup ran fine. The opens was okay. But then once we got to finals, everything broke. All the tournaments on every single region that were running, because again, there was so many overlapping each other, they all started breaking. What happened was a lot of people, almost everyone's ranks got reset. So everyone got reset back to their just base rank. So none of them had a high enough rank to be able to play the tournament, which is only gold. A lot of people tried to queue up to just, go into a rank game, get straight to gold and play the tournament. Every time you played ranked, you never gained any rank. So basically, you could not play the tournament, but randomly, a bunch of teams were able to play the tournament and they had no issues. I have absolutely no idea why these accounts were able to play, but one of the biggest issues was just the communication on Epic's part. We waited like an hour and a half of tournaments being fully glitched. No one can play, no clue of what's happening for Epic to make a statement. The problem was, in the statement, they specifically mentioned that they were going to be doing this for tournaments that happened before this. But this tweet happened before NA. So a bunch of us were left waiting around trying to play NA to figure out what was going on. Then NA bugged. Everyone was still wondering what was going on. And Fortnite waited until all of NA opens, an entire 3 hours, to then make another tweet explaining what was happening. And at this point, every single tournament that happened after EU Opens, so EU Opens was the last tournament that actually counted, everything after that, so all the NA tournaments, EU finals, all of that has been canceled, and they're going to reschedule it at a later date. We don't know when that is. They haven't said anything yet. They haven't even been able to fix the problem that led to this tournament breaking. So they can't even give us a new time because they don't know how long it's going to take them to fix it, which does have me a little bit concerned for the solo cash cups that are taking place today. I have no idea if they're going to run. I'm keeping an eye on OCE to see if OCE works, but unfortunately, it looks like a lot of these bugs don't happen on the smaller regions. It happens once we get to EU when there's way more players. So are tournaments going to run today? I have no clue. Why did they break yesterday? I have no clue. What is Epic doing about it? I have no clue. This does feel a little bit like OG season. If you guys remember the last chapter 1 OG, solo cash cups would just not work. We'd all get on ready to play and they just kept breaking. So I hope this isn't a long-standing issue and it's not going to keep causing issues for tournaments, because we have so many of them. We have another trio cash cup next week. They added a duo cash cup out of nowhere. The only 2 days without tournaments are on next week, so I'm guessing the cash cups will be rescheduled to then. I think it's the 20th and 21st. You can check in Fortnite Tracker. My best guess is they'll move the tournaments onto then, but we don't have many days left. We're closing in on the new season, the OG season, and there's not really that much room for any more tournaments. So I really hope Epic fixes this, because they're throwing so much money at tournaments right now and we just keep getting hit with so many bugs. Now, luckily there was a few tournaments so I could actually watch and see how the new Fortnitemares update is going to affect competitive, because we have 3 major changes, 2 of them being items. We have the Witch's Broom and the Chainsaw. I'll talk about the chainsaw in a second. I know a lot of people are really upset this item isn't competitive. And thirdly, we have the map changes. We actually have quite considerable map changes which are going to affect competitive. So I'll kick off with the Witch's Broomstick. This is one of my favorite items of all time. It's the reskin Silver Surfboard. It's the Nimbus Cloud from the Goku update. It's really, really solid, but it's really, really hard to find in competitive. It is basically going to have almost no impact on competitive because no one has it. It has a 10% chance to drop from rare chests, and that is it. No floor loot, no chest loot. The only way to guarantee it is to drop from the Rift Island, which I think is going to be the strategy for a lot of people in the solo victory cup. If you are really good at fighting, if you're really confident at winning your mid-game fights around the Rift Island, I would 100% lock down the Rift Island, get the broomstick, and use it to play for the win. It's such a good mobility item. It's on like a 25-second cooldown. It is infinite mobility. You can fly through the air. If you click it again, if you left click or if you right trigger again, you can cancel the broomstick and go down with no fall damage. It breaks out of build, so if you get boxed, you can jump out. It even breaks through armored walls. It's an extremely strong, but in my opinion, extremely fun and for the most part balanced item. I'm really sad to see that this is the item that you can't find anywhere. Meanwhile, the chainsaw that also got added to competitive is everywhere. You can find the chainsaws absolutely everywhere. It does feel like a slightly worse version of the Nitro Fist, and hear me out, you've probably seen some crazy clips. Unfortunately, Mongrel, Mr. Savage and Marius did not make EU finals because Mongrel got keyed by the chainsaw, but for the most part, the attack animation actually isn't that good. If you have 3 people with the chainsaws really coordinated getting into a box and surprising someone, it does a lot of damage. But the hitbox on it is quite small. It's actually quite hard to consistently hit shots, especially if you jump in on someone who's waiting for you with a gatekeeper. They can just 2-tack you and you will instantly die, which is what I saw happen most time people tried to use it. So as far as my recommendation for the chainsaw, if you find a really unaware team or a really unaware player, if you're using it in solos and you can jump in their box and quickly kill them, it could be worth carrying. But for the most part, carrying 3 of them in trios so you can all use the mobility aspect isn't really worth it. Almost every single trio I saw, at least of the pros, were not running it. They were running triple meds and they were leaving it behind. So you can use it as much as you want in solos. If you do use it, it's going to be a bit risky because you're probably going to get hit pretty hard when you try to kill them. So even though you take them down, you will be on low health. Next week, we are going into Siphon that's 75 health over time, no shield. So if you lose shield while you go for these refreshes, you will end up being quite weak, but play with it as you will. I think solos, the broomstick is far strong and you should prioritize. The mobility on the chainsaw is quite solid though, and if you have it in solos, since you're only rotating by yourself, it might be a lot better. The trick with the chainsaw mobility, obviously when you hold it down into the ground and ride it, if you drop it once it runs out of fuel and you pick it back up, it's instantly refueled, which is extremely strong. So play around with it in solos if you want, but I don't think it's worth carrying in trios. As far as the map changes with the new Fortnitemares update, I'm a huge fan. It feels Halloweeny, it feels spooky, it is really cool. I'm not the biggest fan of freaky fields. I don't know who thought that was a good idea to come up with for the name of a POI. Not only that, I think because of the mist or the fog and the spooky vibe around freaky fields, when you get there, the zone is white in endgame. I mean, like, I'm 30 years old, but there's just no way you can't see just the irony of having a white zone at freaky fields. Like, I swear Fortnite does this deliberately just for memes, but outside of that, the map changes are pretty cool. What they did with Brawler's Battleground is awesome. All the vines all over the place compared to previous Fortnitemares where we've just gained like 1 or 2 pumpkins outside a single house compared to so many of the POIs changing. It is awesome to see, and it's sad to see that such a good Fortnitemares has led to so many issues in the game. Again, like I talked about, the tournaments glitched today, but so did rank. People couldn't play ranked all day. There was a whole bunch of issues, and it's sad that a lot of people are going to focus on that now with this massive Fortnitemares update. Obviously, I'd love to have both a ridiculously high content, super fun Fortnitemares, and then no issues in the game, but sadly, it did delay the update, which has now caused all of these ridiculous tournament delays. So we'll have to see how it goes, but so far, I would say the Fortnitemares update is a W. It's just sad we had so many glitches. Because of all the glitches, I don't have as much to go off for the tournaments. It was very interesting to see that Mongrel, Mr. Savage, and Marius didn't make another finals. They only missed out by a couple of points, but it's still really unfortunate to see. I'm guessing this is gonna have to hurt their confidence a little bit playing going forward as a trio. I think Mongrel and Mr. Savage will stay together. They've made that very clear. They're very committed to staying together, playing, making content, but I wonder if Marius is gonna stick around, whether Mongrel or Savage maybe want to find a different third, whether Marius is content not making 2 finals in a row when top 198 teams make it. I don't know. They might stick together and play it another time, but I just don't see it. I did want to give a special shout out to Peterbot, Bolts, and Faxity for placing top 10 on Asia trios. Faxity has just got official earns on Asia. Peterbot and Bolt on an absolute dominant tear right now, and it looks like they're continuing that spree even with Faxity. I know Fax was freaking out when they were talking about canceling the tournaments and rescheduling them. I know he was freaking out trying to figure out whether Asia standings were still going to stand. It looks like they are, so Faxity has officially earned on Asia. Speaking of the new season and going into OG, I have some really good news and some pretty bad news for a lot of people. So firstly, good news. We are getting a major event on the 1st, apparently November 1st, even though the current battle pass is set to end on November 2nd. So the reason for that being with the season ending on the 2nd, but the event happening on the 1st, it is confirmed we are going down into a night downtime. If you don't know what that is an extended downtime like the black hole. And I have to remind you, when we got the black hole was going from chapter 1 into chapter 2, and we're about to go back to chapter 2 in OG. So you put the dots together and it looks like we are getting an extended downtime. That could be 6 hours, 12 hours, 24 hours, 2 days, 3 days, we don't know how long. The last black hole obviously lasted quite a while, and Fortnite could be doing the same thing here to bring hype to the game. And I know a lot of people get really frustrated with these long downtimes. I think it was a super smart marketing strategy. Maybe in the past, doing it a second time, maybe won't finish as well, but we are getting a really cool event. We are getting OG Fortnite, but it looks like you are going to have a bit of an extended downtime in between. This could change, but this is very heavily in the game files, and pretty much every single leaker is saying we are going to have a long downtime. So be ready for that when you go into OG Fortnite. Maybe don't make too many plans on November 2nd, because you might have to wait until November 3rd or later. We'll see. We don't know the exact time, but there is going to be a night downtime.